What's up, y'all? It's your boy Brian Majors, the owner of Major Preparation, where the motto is putting in major work for major results, and that pertains to all parts of life. So you already know anything you put your mind to, you can achieve. And we have another special guest here for a major key. The person here who I've been wanting to just sit down with anyway because she's like a phenomenal mermaid. And I want to say mermaid just because she's going to let y'all know why I'm saying mermaid. But this lady here is again a phenomenal one who represents integrity and strength and overcoming adversity, setting goals and knocking those goals down. And with no further ado, I want to introduce you all and let you guys know all about Miss Julia, the Black Mermaid Mallory.
I'm Julia Mallory of Black Mermaids, and I started Black Mermaids basically in 2017. Started out as a published author in 2016 with my first collection by that same title. Black Mermaids is a reimagining of the mythology surrounding mermaids. What if enslaved Africans aboard slave ships, the ones that jumped overboard, when they hit the water, they in turn became mermaids. So it's this idea of what it looks like to be bold, brave, and resilient. You know, for people across the diaspora, you know, who are still fighting against everything that has set out to basically end us, and we're still here, we're still fighting. So I've been doing Black Mermaids for the last few years, and have been super excited about all the support and all the opportunities that have come my way as a result.
Can you let everybody know about the books that you write as well?
Sure. So I write as a creative, poetry is my first love, but writing books for children is a love that I didn't know that I needed. And so I am on my sixth book. I have 2 published children's books, picture books, and then my latest collection is called Survivor's Guilt, which is a collection of poetry and essays that really closely examine my personal relationship with grief.
So again, with Major Key Alerts, I want to talk to you about your 5 most important major keys that helped you become who you are, but also align with who you're becoming as well.
One is definitely focusing, right?
Focusing, okay.
Focusing on something that speaks to you. I think the second for me has really just been trying, like not always having all the answers, but not being afraid to say, okay, I'm gonna try this thing. It may or may not stick.
Right.
Being open to the possibility that it may or may not work out, but it was the experience that really taught you the most, right? It's the journeys that are really preparing us for life, because it's not just about the destination of success, it's about the full journey. I think the third thing is community. Like, none of us, no matter how incredibly successful we are an island. Like, we don't go it alone. Right. We are in relationship with other folks. That connection, I think, also helps influence or inspire us to continue to do the things that we do. For me, quite honestly, when I put my first project out in the world, I wasn't really anticipating, I wasn't prepared for the response that I got, to be honest. I was proud of it. I was like, oh, this is a good book. But it was literally listening to folks that I was in community with who were proud of the idea of being black, like for them a literal interpretation of, oh, I'm a black mermaid, or we don't have enough of things. My daughter's a black mermaid, but she doesn't see enough of black mermaids or mermaids of color.
I never heard of black mermaid ever until you.
So, and I think for us as people of African ancestry, the concept of aquatic spiritual water beings and all of that is not like I didn't come up with that.
Right.
I didn't come up with that, but I think the idea of putting those 2 things together in a very plain way, I think is not something that I've seen a lot of. But I think being in community with people and them saying, like, my kid wants to see more black mermaids is what even led me to, in conversation with a friend, led me even get into the idea of writing a picture book for children that feature black mermaids. So community, I think, is hugely important. folks that you can trust, people that you build with.
Right.
This idea of like a seat at the table, but like I'm in community with folks and we're building our own tables and we're building our own opportunities and showing up for one another. Is the idea of discipline. Because motivation is fleeting. Like you're not always gonna feel like it.
Right.
Right. But if you're trying to build something, sometimes you're like, okay, I gotta push a little bit every day just to get me closer. And we don't have to be perfect to be disciplined, but we have to say, again, linking back to that effort and the trying, like I'm willing to be consistent.
Right.
Right. Like being consistent, like consistently working on that thing that is important to you.
One more major key that really, like the one that puts you over the top, where you're never going to stop or quit building and going after your dreams and your goals?
Honestly, I think it's this idea of like kind of answering the call. Like I'm doing this thing right now. My whole series is like the hashtag do your work, right? That's the message that I'm pushing out actively. And one of my favorite ones is an easier assignment is not coming, right? And so I think sometimes people are like, oh, I don't have it figured out. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. But a lot of times we already got the message.
Yeah.
Like we already got it. We're just hoping that like, oh no, that wasn't for me.
Right.
Or like, oh, maybe
somebody else should have that.
Maybe. Somebody else should have that. Or Dad, I wanted to do something, but I didn't want to do it that big. All the time, like, cause I had to also learn 2019. Might have been, I would say, was it 2019 or 2018? Sometimes these years all start to run together. But at one point, I realized this idea like leaving space for miracles, right?
Ooh, leaving space for miracles.
Right. So like plan, have a vision for where you're trying to go, but we also have to be open. So like things are going to happen, things are going to occur.
Right.
Like how can you make it work for you? Or at least not let it work against you. So I'm saying the whole part about like leaving space for miracles because like sometimes you can have a vision or want to do something, but this idea of assignments, I tell people like, hey, this is what I'm doing now, but you never know. Like
you never know what's next.
I might completely get disrupted, and people are like, why aren't you doing Black Mermaids no more? And it's like, y'all, like something else came that I'm supposed to be doing. I don't think that's gonna be the case, but I say that to people like sometimes we have to leave that space.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we do get shifted.
Yeah.
And that's when we kind of see people's faith being tested in large ways. Because it's like, what? You want me to quit this job and go and do this thing when I'm comfortable, when my life makes sense right now, right? And so that when you get those assignments, depending on people's beliefs or faith, whether you believe you got that assignment from God, your ancestors, the universe, all three working, like it can be scary at times.
Yeah.
It can be scary at times, and that's why sometimes we're like hoping for an easier assignment, but I don't think it's coming. Like I hugely believe that at the end of the day, even if we're not honest with other people, we can only be honest with ourselves.
Facts.
And it's been put on your heart.
Facts.
Even if you're afraid to speak it, even if you're afraid to move in that direction, I don't believe that none of us have been advised on assignments in our life. And I'm not just talking about entrepreneurship or starting a business. I'm talking about like maybe it was on your heart that you were supposed to like start a group of volunteer crossing guards or something. You know what I mean? Or you were supposed to 5 days a week, feed people that are unhoused in our city.
Wow.
Like it's not always about like because I think sometimes now we have this hyper focus on starting a business or being an entrepreneur. But when I'm talking about do your work, I'm not talking about that alone. Like I'm talking about, maybe you are supposed to be that artist. Like maybe you are supposed to pursue music. Maybe you are supposed to, become, one of the best cosmetologists that the city has ever seen. Maybe you are supposed to be doing those things. But it scares you because it completely disrupts
your whole
life, or the things you thought about yourself, or what people think about you, and now you got to figure out how to navigate all of that. But just to kind of wrap all that up, I think for me, number 5 is definitely this idea of your intuition and listening and respecting the assignment, right? Because not every time you have an idea, people will always understand it. right? And so just because people don't understand it doesn't mean that we should necessarily do it.
That's an amazing point, and I had to cut you off there because a lot of people who start something, they feel as though everybody should it's required for them to support you as soon as you start something. Where I feel as though people have to believe your own consistency. They have to believe your work. They have to believe in your mission. It takes time for people to believe.
I think personally, I think success is infectious. Like I think people typically want to be associated with success, right? And so I think when you demonstrate what you're doing, like people typically will want to gravitate towards it.
Yeah.
But even in my Do Your Work series, I always remind folks like your vision is your responsibility.
Exactly. Yes.
Like that assignment was given to you for whatever reason, and people don't always have to understand it. Wait a second, like you have to do your work. Like you
do your work.
You have to do your work. Your success is your success is basically tied to the work that you need to make happen.
One more time. Your success is tied to the work
you need to make happen.
You need to make happen.
Support looks a variety of ways, but I feel like that's putting the cart before the horse. Like how can you build your thing up? How can it be dependent upon your labor and your effort? And then folks see the work and they can't deny it. Like
you have to do your work. You have to do your work. You have to do your work.
No, seriously, I think listen, you gotta do what you gotta do, whether 1 or 100 people support you.
Yes.
And sometimes I think we get so caught up on trying to focus on the 100 that we don't love, want to nurture the one. And I think that is where I see a lot of breakdown go. People like, oh, I did this thing and people didn't support it. But I'm like, who's people? Because I saw some people in the pictures. Like, did you love on the 5 people that did come? Because if I come to your thing,
listen,
and it is, and you did what you were supposed to do, and I enjoyed myself, okay, I'm likely to tell people. So now your 5 became 10, your 10 becomes 50. But how can you get to the 50 or the 500 if you really don't value the 5? And I think that shows, like, listen, I love on the folks who love on me.
Yeah.
And I don't take any of it for granted. The more you start relying on your voice and start trusting the voice, the higher power that is guiding you, like I think when those things are in sync, like the easier you'll understand, like, oh, this is how it goes.
Wow.
Y'all
hear first from the Black Mermaid, our own queen, Harrisburg, our queen, a mermaid. Again, we talked about just having that ultimate focus. We talked about the effort and trying. We talked about your community of people. We talked about as well as discipline and listen to your intuition. And these are some major keys from a phenomenal lady, woman, mermaid has been successful on her journey, who's going to continue to evolve and progress and continue to be more successful and more impactful in her community, in her family, and in this world, on this world. She is going to be a person who I strongly believe that the world needs to hear, the world needs to know all about.
Oh my goodness, I have like a phenomenal circle of friends and people that are always riding for me and that have my back. I think it's appropriate, especially because we're in Urban Snob right now filming this. Snob. So I definitely have to give a shout out to Urban Snob and my girl Demetri, my family and my friends. I think y'all know who y'all are. And
I always say what's understood doesn't need to be explained.
And I hope that I express my gratitude enough in person, on a consistent basis, if they know what it is. My books and my boutique line of graphic tees can all be found at blackmermaids.com. I'm on Instagram as the Julia Mallory. I'm also, my business Instagram is Black Mermaids Brand.
You guys know what it is, man. It's your boy, Brian Major, the owner of Major Preparation, where the motto is putting in major work for major results, and that pertains to all parts of life. This is another special edition of the Major Key Alerts, man. Thank you all for listening. Please like, share, comment, and also go support. Make sure you got all the contact information, the websites to support our own mermaid, this mermaid right here next to me. And again, y'all, thank you for your time and your attention. Stay focused, remain humble, and keep working. Keep working, keep working.